So,
Hello and welcome back to Obstacle Illusion. We don't have a jingle yet, so I have to kind of sing it. I'm Anna Clint, transformational healer and coach, and I'm here with my soul sister, April Gallagher. How do you define what you do, or like what do you call what you do, April?
I always say, I don't know. And then I think in my head, like, oh crap, I should have a better answer to that. Because every day it's different. I mean, the way I try to figure out how to say it. One time, I came up with the idea of sacred optometrist, right? So
Oh,
helping people
good.
to see helping people to see their life through a lens that allows them to see the sacred and to see every right see obstacles as the illusions that they are, and let go of what doesn't serve them so that they can really focus on bringing through what does. I think
Awesome.
in the past I've spent a lot of time focusing on helping people let go. I really do love helping people let go. I love creating order out of chaos. But
You also love creating.
yeah, I was gonna say, and then now like the new push really is in harnessing the creativity. So letting go in service of getting yourself set up so that you can really harness your creativity and bringing through what needs to be brought through now. So how can we create this new earth? How can we create a society and a sustainable planet and all of that that requires a different frequency, a different level of beingness, a different level of connection, a different level of really bringing through our divine and innate creativity. So just helping people do that, helping people supporting them and bringing that through. I have a background in feng shui, so a lot of it has to do with environment as well, and making sure your environment, not necessarily making sure your environment, but recognizing that you can harness the power of your environment to support you in whatever it is you want to do, and that it's going to impact and influence you either way. So it's like, well, might as well have it talking nice to you as opposed to not.
Totally,
So
totally.
that's my
All
that's
right.
my 30-second elevator
That's
pitch.
your 30-second elevator pitch.
And I do.
All right. So, in all of this work that you do, have you ever felt like an imposter or a fraud?
Sure.
'Cause that's what we're talking about today, is that feeling that so many women share. A lot of women feel this way. I'm sure men do too. Men, if you feel that way, let us know. That you're somehow, like not qualified enough, or you don't have enough certifications to do the work you want to do, or you're not spiritual enough or awakened enough, or da 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 da. Just kind of throwing out ideas that other people may feel. I'm not sure that you feel that, um, but I'd love to hear. This is what we're talking about today, because
Yeah.
last time that's what we said we would do.
Yeah, that's what we said. I mean, I have something like that written down. So
Yeah, because last time we were talking about dimming your light and like not letting yourself be perceived in your own mind as better than anybody else. And then that tied in kind of naturally to this idea of feeling like a fraud. And they kind of go hand in hand.
yeah, I think
So I'm
so. Because
curious, like,
yeah, I think our little thread was that we're talking about when compliments come through, like how hard it is sometimes to receive the compliment, and then
yeah,
from that feeling like, well, if they really
that's
knew,
right.
right?
That's right.
They perceive me this way, but really it's, you know, like my
That's
environment
right.
not always clean. This is where I'm staying right now at the cottage, and these are not my beds, but my kids' beds. But it's like, things are often a mess, um,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, right? So it's
Yeah.
um, and
Well,
I
let's do
also
this.
think
Oh, go ahead.
I also think that for a lot of people, at least for me, and I know some others, when you're doing this work, it's so easy to see the patterns in others and assist others and help clear it. There's not the emotional attachment, there's not the spiritual or psychological baggage, so you can really kind of come in impartial and help cut the ties and
Yeah,
all of that, and
totally.
really, I mean, I can catalyze anyone to get anything done. um but then I have a whole slew of projects or a whole slew of things in my life that don't get done, right? And
Mhm,
so there
mhm.
can be this sense of imposter-ness there too. It's like, um, it's
For
important to
sure.
practice what you preach. It's important not to be a hypocrite. But where are those places in my life where it's like, this is a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, which is why we always say as I do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, for real. It's so easy to see other people's stuff and to walk them through it and to help them progress and heal and elevate. And then it's just like, oh, what's going on in my backyard?
As the cobbler's
Why am
children
I
have no
still
shoes.
fighting with this thing? What's that?
The cobbler's children have no shoes.
That's right, exactly. And the mechanic is always driving that raggedy ass car. Totally.
Hmm.
So those are kind of two different things though. So that's a good backstory on the imposter syndrome. Let's back it up one step and talk about how that ties in with receiving compliments. Because so many of us, especially, I don't know, I keep saying especially women, and I don't even know if that's true. That could be just a total lie. Let's just talk because I'm a woman talking about the female experience. When we get a compliment, oftentimes our knee-jerk reaction is to minimize the compliment. It's almost never to accept and receive it fully. It's almost never to be like, oh, thank you, because that makes us feel really uncomfortable. That gets back to that, like, am I being perceived better than this other person? And do I really deserve this compliment? Like, oh, this old thing, I just got it at the thrift store. Like, that's like like what we do. And so there, it's all of these things are playing together, right? We dim our light, we don't allow ourselves to receive, let's call it praise or congratulations or compliments, fully. There's often a part of us that wants to do the Aikido thing and like deflect it over there, like, so that we don't have to accept it and deal with the fact that someone sees us in this way. And then that kind of fuels this idea of being a fraud, especially when, we, the healers, teachers, whatever we are, whatever you want to call us, the guides, are doing that. Then we're modeling this for other people, and then that's where, like, my imposter syndrome can come in. I always have a tendency, I have to watch myself when I receive a compliment, to be mindful that when I say no to that compliment, I'm also saying no to so much other good stuff that could be coming my way, right? It isn't just this thing. It's like, hey, that's someone like sending some love your way, and why are you turning that away? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, we're walking around saying, I want more love in my life, I want more joy in my life, I want more pleasure and play and all this, like, but don't you dare compliment me, because I will freak out on you by saying, oh, this old thing, or oh, my hair looks good, it's so shaggy, or whatever the thing is, right? You're going to minimize it every chance you get if you're me. So I don't know. Sometimes I put you on the spot and I say, tell us about your latest imposter syndrome feeling. April,
Well,
do you
you
feel like
can do
doing that
that, but I've
today?
been on vacation for 3 weeks, so I mean, I
Do you want to tell the truth about your yoga practice? Just kidding.
the
You don't
truth
have
about
to.
my yoga practice is that it's not an hour and a half a day. It's like can be as little as 15 minutes a day, and I still count it. That's
Well, I would count it too. I think it still counts because you made a commitment to yourself and you're still doing it.
Yeah.
You didn't make a commitment necessarily to say, I'm going to do 90 minutes of yoga a day. You said, I'm going to show up every day on my mat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
and you're doing it.
Doing it. Yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead.
How does it feel when I shower you with congratulations? You know what? Like for more than a year and a half or something, you have been showing up every day on your mat. That's amazing, April.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I want to say, well, it's actually been more than 2 years.
Okay, I didn't know how long it was. I didn't want to over-aggrandize.
I think that one, so in that way I can receive it, right? Because for that part, like I have been doing it because you know that I count 15 minutes, like there's disclosure, you know what it is. So it's not like I'm doing some like really kick-ass, like hot hour and a half yoga thing every day, right? Like,
yeah.
Like my down dog still sucks. Like,
okay, but go back to 2 weeks ago when we were talking about you doing your yoga practice for 2 years
with someone next to me, and in that case I felt bad if she couldn't do the things that I was doing, right? And it was a little bit of not wanting her to give up, not wanting her to compare. So,
which of course we know we cannot stop anyone else from comparing. We can hardly stop ourselves from doing it.
Right. The whole point of yoga is to stay on your own mat and not go over to that. Not the whole point, but one of the points.
Yeah, many of the points. Yeah. Yeah. I often feel like an imposter, not that you asked, but I often feel like an imposter. Like when I'm telling my clients or guiding my clients or coaching my clients in a certain way, and then like literally the same day, like I'm just like dealing with something the same, and I'm just doing exactly what they're doing, and I'm like, why can't I take my own best advice and guidance? Like, why is this such a challenge? I should not be having a challenge with this because I'm so spiritually woke, or whatever the BS that goes through my head is, right? And then I feel like, do I really have what it takes to be doing this? Am I really helping people? Is that really happening? Is that a thing? That you get into that space of like, why is my house a mess when I'm like the feng shui master? Why is my inner house a mess?
Yeah. So I think all of this comes to the point where it's like, okay, so we all do this, and then it's like, then what do we do when we find ourselves in that space? So when you assist a client and you walk them through something, and then 2 hours later you find yourself in the same spot, like then, how much time do you spend beating yourself up about it, and how much time or energy, or what is your personal practice or protocol for then shift, once you recognize you're in that space, what do you do to get yourself out of it?
Yeah, it's different on every day, on any given day, depending on what else is going on and, like where my head and heart space is. But the best thing that I can do is just laugh at myself for being so freaking ridiculous and making something out of nothing, which is to say, like, we all have a minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year journey, right? And it's never like, we always want our progression to be like, phew, like like when you zoom out on the stock market and it looks like it only goes up. Like that's what we all want our journey to be like. I'm better today than I was yesterday. I'm more healed. I'm more aware. I'm more evolved. I'm all of these things. I'm better, to use a word that doesn't have any meaning here, better than I was yesterday. And then but the reality is no, Grace, like, guess what? I didn't sleep well last night. So that's why I'm beating myself up, because I'm not resourced as fully today as I would have been yesterday, or might be tomorrow, or who knows what. And so it's like, for me, I have to like notice it, become aware. And then I try to zoom out. all right, what's really going on here? Because sometimes there's stuff going on that actually has nothing to do with me and my current reality. And it's like, is it astrological? Is it some other event? Is it the energy of the people around me it's infiltrating my energy field? Is it literally that I chose to eat poorly? So,
that would never happen.
all right, never. Again, do as I say, not as I do. And so, but when you zoom out, you're like, oh yeah, okay. You need to put yourself in timeout, which could be like, go outside and play, go for a walk. I started swimming. I got the pool pass. I'm like, go swimming, go sit by the pool, go do anything that is not sitting here ruminating or stewing in, this feeling. Do some journaling, like write it down, what's going on. So that's kind of like a very long-winded answer. I do a lot of different things. What do you do when you see that you're not where you want to be?
Yeah, I think the same thing as you, and that it's different depending on the circumstance. But obviously the first step is awareness, like recognizing, that I'm starting to swirl in that, right? And then doing something to get out of that, because when you're in that, I mean, just you're basically swirling in something energetically, and then you want to be swirling someplace else. So what do you do to leap from I don't know. I replaced a toilet this week, so I guess I've got like the
release.
I've got the swirling toilet on my brain. So what do you do to jump from one energy to the other? And a lot of the stuff that you mentioned, obviously you have to have awareness first, and then it's like sometimes it's music, sometimes it's the shower, sometimes it's going outside, sometimes it's laughing, sometimes it's it is really different depending on kind of where you are and how much of a shift you need. And a lot of times, like when I mean, I think you and I have a very similar sense of humor. And I think we're both very, very comfortable laughing at ourselves and each other. Um, and in that, I mean, it is extremely comical pretty much every time it happens, right? Because it's so true that like, just like whatever you're upset about or whatever, if you actually look at it, is just like so hypocritical or so like ridiculous that you can't help but laugh.
Yeah.
And that helps too, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
think that in order to, is this true? I don't know, I'm going to say it anyway. But I think in order to really thrive in this life, you have to not take things too seriously, especially yourself. Like you really,
Especially yourself.
it's just,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah. Which is all that the imposter syndrome is about, is that you're actually like taking yourself too seriously. You're holding yourself to some made up fictional standard that doesn't exist. And you only feel like an imposter when you're comparing yourself to someone else. Like you can't feel like an imposter if you're just owning your own stuff and being authentic to who you are. It's impossible to feel like an imposter.
mhm,
It's just when we have this idea of what we should be doing, saying, moving through the world as, and how we think people are perceiving us. And then we're not in our lane. Like we're not on our mat at that point. Like you're on a mat 3 mats over, and yeah, that's when it gets ugly and it doesn't feel good and it's uncomfortable. And it's like, well, if I'm just going to do me, who can say that I'm an imposter? I'm just being me.
mhm,
Right. And so but it's like, how comfortable am I being me?
mhm,
So
mhm.
that's part of it. How okay is it to be me? What are you writing down? Is that next topic?
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. Should we open up to questions from
We
our
really
incredible
should. We really should.
audience?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 20 minutes after. Does anyone have a take on imposter syndrome or fraud, or a question about, or even a scenario in their life right now that's coming up where they're like, am I qualified for this? Whatever this is. Am I qualified to make dinner tonight? I hope not.
I don't think I ever am qualified. I'm just going to put that out there now.
Pretty sure I had to do it last night. Someone else's turn. Hi, Mary.
It helps to unmute. Well, I'll try to be very brief. A couple of things. It struck me that sometimes it's when someone compliments me and they see me as someone who has something to offer or heal or be a healer that I've been for a while, 20 or 30 years of my life in the past. It's not so much feeling like an imposter, but if I feel that they are not, it's not they're just thanking me for, or, what do I want to say? They want more from me than I can give. And it's not about being an imposter. They want me to heal them as opposed to what I've been teaching my whole life, which is, that how can you take care of yourself, which is what you guys are doing for us today. So that's the first thing that popped to my head, that sometimes, yes, I feel like, oh, can I put myself on YouTube, or can I do this because who am I, and blah, 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 And I'm finally coming to that place simply to say, I'm 72 years old, going on 73. I got a lot of stories. The least I can do is share some stories. If people don't like them, they don't like them. If some do, then maybe it'll help somebody. But rather than having that pressure of somehow it has to do something for somebody, that I need to tell the stories, or I just have this desire that I notice that when I do tell stories in person, or people tell me stories, that's when I learn, when we're kind of both on our own paths and doing that. And then I just there's probably others I want to share, but I just wanted to say, in a movie that I rewatched yesterday called Unfinished Song, there was this line: what makes a song beautiful is not always the quality of the voice, but the distance it's had to travel. And for me, wanting to share my voice, even, share thoughts or share stories or whatever with more people than just the next door neighbor or something, that really helped me. But I think it applies to what we're talking about, that it's, worrying about or feeling we're an imposter, my voice isn't right, what I have to say, whatever, that's the imposter thing. But it's also, this is what I've traveled, this is the distance, these are my stories, and if they help, great. If they don't, so what? So I hope that's on track, but it's
yeah, that's beautiful. And what you're also illustrating is that when we give into the imposter syndrome, like, we don't share our story with people, and no one has the opportunity to connect with you in that way, whether it's connecting over, YouTube in a, anonymous kind of way, or whether it's connecting heart to heart, face to face. And that goes back to the whole dimming your light thing, and not sharing what you are actually here to share. And the imposter syndrome is a huge, when it really comes to that, like sharing your heart, sharing your soul, and like really leaning into your soul's purpose, why you're here, the imposter syndrome comes up time and time again. And it does a great disservice really to you and to humanity, because you're not showing up, and you're not being able, that song doesn't get to travel. That beautiful song doesn't get to travel. Thanks for that quote.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it also it kind of jogged in me just that the imposter syndrome, and then what you're saying, Anna, about not sharing the story, is that it's in those moments of vulnerability, right? When we actually then, like when you share with your client, like, I was in this same boat and then I did this, it's like, it's from that place of vulnerability, and when we're sharing our story, that we actually have, I think, the greatest opportunity for impact.
Yes, well said. Well said.
And that's different than telling somebody what they want to hear, like if they want the answer for their lives.
Right.
And that's why I always make that switch, and it's been a savior for me, but also it's the right thing. It's just telling, well, this is my experience.
That's right.
I'm not here to heal you. I don't have to say that. I just say, well, this is how I did that, or this is, and that's enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you raising your hand, Nicola?
I am. Hi. I think it's it's an attitude of perfectionism too, that we need to be perfect to show ourselves to the world, and
Yeah.
it isn't that way. And it has to do with enoughness too. I am enough as I am.
Mhm.
And I wanted to refer to your point when you said, and 2 hours later, I'm at the same place as my client, this position puts me in a space of humility.
Mhm.
And I'm never teaching from above if I am at that place. So I think it's rich that you have this. I have that too, by the way. So
Thank God.
yeah, thank God, exactly. And accepting that I'm human, that's the point. And it refers to the stories that Mary told, because I think we can only teach by example, and the stories are just this example that we share. We share our presence clearly, but we have a past too, and the learning we have done about our stories or about our situations that make the stories too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great lens, a great shift in perspective, a great bit of sacred optometry.
Dun, dun, dun.
That jingle, you must work on it.
Yeah, we have to work on our jingle.
You can connect with Mary for the song, and then you can sing the jingle and at the beginning and at the end.
Awesome. Talk about humility.
I was just going to say, yes, that would be connecting from a place of humility.
Or you can engage somebody to sing the song for you, or you make just whatever.
And then we could
Are you
lip sync
volunteering?
it, right? We could lip sync it. And then, maybe somebody would find out that we were lip syncing.
And then that we were total frauds.
No, everything's allowed. We are leading by example.
Oh, goodness. Awesome.
Well, we're pretty
Well-
much at the end of our time. So is there any last thing anyone wants to say, or shall we wrap it up?
It
I'm
was
up for the
wonderful.
song
Thank
whenever
you.
I heard Nicola say it was wonderful. What did you say, Mary?
I'm up for the song. Help you to sing it whenever you're ready.
Okay, good. It'll be a group effort.
There you go. I'm a
You
choir
can sing it
director.
in rounds.
Yeah.